when you read the manufacturer or you listen to a lot of the presentations that people like Made Smarter and all advocates of digitalizing your business, your manufacturing business, you probably think to yourself, well, how does it actually work and what's in it for me? Because you're told an awful lot of stuff about you've got to get data from your machines, you've got to turn it around, you've got to use it. But what does it actually mean in practice? I'm delighted to be joined by Andy Brown from Access. Now, they're not just software providers for manufacturers. You do Blenheim Palace, Hamleys Toy Shop,
we've
many
got
others.
11 different divisions: health and social care, hospitality, not-for-profits, charities, but obviously here we're talking about manufacturing today.
What's the big challenge that manufacturers come to you with when they say, I'm told I've got to achieve all of this digital stuff? But
Yeah.
what's the main question they ask?
Well, it's interesting, Nick. I mean, we're here today looking at Industry 4.0 stuff, and everyone thinks about Industry 4.0. We've got to connect our machines and understand how a line's running and all that kind of good stuff, which it is. We get that. But often when we get the phone call, actually, it's a very a more basic level, actually. So, we get presented with symptoms of my reporting's poor, or I can't understand, what this guy's efficiency looks like. And when you actually go and talk to potential customers around this kind of stuff, it's at a more basic level. In fact, often really these businesses are still on spreadsheets.
How often have I heard that?
I know, and it's just where that data resides. Often it's not, the data isn't centralised. Without that data, you can't report on it, of course. So for us, it's a more basic level of trying to understand where the customer's challenges are. And often it's because business processes aren't systemised, the data perhaps isn't being captured. So at a more fundamental level, it's replacing those spreadsheets and actually starting to put a good business process in place.
So a good business process, to my mind, means that I may, yes, be capturing data from my machines, but that's got to inform my decision making along the entire process, even as far as making certain my field service teams understand the data as well. It's all about information, isn't it?
So the machine may be running efficiently, but if I haven't got the right material in the right place at the right time, I can't manufacture something, which kind of points towards a purchasing problem. So trying to understand what I've got in stock, what I've got available to manufacture, the machine could be running 100%, but if I haven't got the right stock in the right place at the right time, I can't make anything.
The information that you're able to elicit for the manufacturers enables smart decision making. Now, if I'm a manufacturer, I think I know how to use my email system. I'm talking about me, by the way, you're probably a lot more sophisticated. But I know how to use email and maybe a bit of Facebook. I'm not certain I know how to understand and use and deploy what sounds quite a sophisticated suite of products. Are you able to, teach people, take them along the path to enable them to actually get the best out of it?
So of course, yeah. I mean, when we talk to customers, often, there's a number of different things any organisation will want to solve. There's a lot of problems, but we don't have to solve everything at once, and that's the other thing. We can solve bite-sized problems at a time. So we might just have to put in a good MRP system, for example, to make sure we're buying the right thing at the right time, that we're taking sales orders in electronically, and therefore the demand and the loading is put on the system. Because again, another thing we see is, sales guys might be out on the road and they take a sales order on a spreadsheet. That gets passed to someone else. They then re-enter that on another spreadsheet. Sometimes it might end up in a back office system, but that's been rekeyed 3 or 4 times. So it's taking away that sort of manual business process and putting it and systemizing it. And we can do that quite simply with a good MRP system. Then in the fullness of time, people might want to look at an account system. So before you know it, we've created a full ERP, but we've done it in bite-sized chunks, which appeals to a lot of customers when they're taking that step on the journey of Industry 4.0.
Obviously, anything like this has to be a step for people. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Of course, yeah.
But it's not as difficult as some people might imagine, and I think that's the message that not just yourselves, but actually Made Smarter and everybody needs to get across.
And that's there's a fine line between saying it's easy, because it's not easy, but it's not as difficult as people think. It shouldn't be a barrier to doing it. As we go through the project, yes, there'll be challenges that come up, but if I go back to our customers a year later and say, was that worth it? They'll go, yeah, we will not go back to our old ways of working, and that's the sign of we're doing something right.
That's got to be the endorsement that matters, and of course, it's not just convenience. It's also by having proper systems in place, you stand a much better chance of improving your bottom line.
One of the key things we hear MDs talk about is, look, the business is doing well, we're making money, we just don't know where we're making it. And without that data, without trying to understand where that information is coming from, the job costing information, the shop floor data capture information, the product profitability, they can't grow the business because they don't know where to actually invest.
Yeah.
So actually that good data allows them to make good decisions and grow the organisation. So without a good system, you will not grow. All you'll really do is employ more people to fill in more spreadsheets. And therefore the cost of doing nothing is actually quite great.
Andy, this is great stuff. This is where the rubber hits the road on 4.0.
Yeah.
We talk about these huge projects, but this is for SME manufacturers, quite small to quite sizable. They all need this kind of technology, and as you say, step at a time, it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy Brown, many thanks indeed for joining
Pleasure.
us.